Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen news. Let's take a look at a breakdown of all the news from the week, as well as a summary of the recent sprint report from Cloud Imperium and Star Citizen Live's EU gameplay Q&A with a bit of a dev response and interview there. Star Citizen Alpha 3.17 isn't in first wave PTU yet, and we'll talk a bit about that. Apologies for the sound quality. It may be different because I'm away from my normal PC as I'm away this weekend, but still bringing you the Star Citizen news. Star Citizen Alpha 3.17 has the tagline, Fueling Fortunes. I was expecting the first wave PTU this weekend just gone, or the weekend we're currently in, I suppose. However, it appears that some blockers have made that impossible. But Cloud Imperium have confirmed that they are looking at potential builds day by day for a first wave release. So that will then allow us to talk about that patch in a lot more detail and actually show some footage from it and that sort of stuff. I covered a full breakdown of Alpha 3.17's new features and all the additional bits that have slowly accumulated over time in some recent videos. And we also had a recap of what Todd Pappy talked about in an interview and a patch watch and lots of stuff. So check out my channel for all that information. The patch watch covered various minor features like a FPS weapon and animation rework, medical improvements making everything a little bit less randomly deadly, removing insta-deaths, making bleed feel less horrible. There have been some great desync fixes and some changes to Hunger and Thirst as well. In Inside Star Citizen, they talked about the player experience team, sort of introducing them to the masses, but also we had a sprint report, and some of that was actually pretty informative. Docking areas have been evolving for various space stations to allow them to have their own sort of appropriate functionality and look. The Corsair showed off some of its grey box phase with various rooms. It's very much plodding through its development now. The Vulture is actually finishing its final art phase, so actually pretty close to completion, and they are testing out different liveries and looks for it. The Reclaimer derelicts were shown off as well, so these are new derelicts that they want to put in the game for points of interest and missions. They fit into 3 categories: old, new, and inhabited. Inhabited ones will see housing or settlements integrated into them. They've also been working on having biome integration as part of this, so wrecks look like they've been affected by the environment that they're found in. This includes being covered in ivy, that sort of jazz. There are new shaders for decomposition and age, and that they're going to be using for partly this, all helping expand out mission, salvage, and point of interest sort of gameplay for exploration. We saw some of the VFX testing for this salvage beam that's going to be in 3.18. It basically sucks the hulls of ships and exposes the frame underneath. This is sort of early visuals for that. It's certainly not finished. Salvage is still planned for 3.18 as well, which is great to hear. We had an EUPU gameplay feature, Star Citizen Live, where they talked about various things, that team. The Starfarer and the Starfarer Gemini variant can both use the refueling mechanics. That's good to know. You can manually fill the 6 tanks of fuel of those 2 ships with hydrogen and or quantum fuel. You can set the price to free if you want to, or whatever price you want to when you're refueling people. You'll want to appropriately manage the flow speed, otherwise it can cause damage apparently. The system for refueling will expand in the future too. The Gladius takes around 40 seconds to fully refuel. The 890 jump, that's going to take a lot longer, but it's going to be minutes and not hours. Currently, if the Starfarer is destroyed, the fuel is also destroyed along with it, so you can't blow it up at the moment and then steal its fuel. You'll be able to detach the fuel pods in the future though, and they're going to be able to capture them, salvage those pods, pick them up with other ships, and drop them off for other ships, that sort of stuff. It's an awesome system. Not all ships have a physical port for refueling in 3.17, but all ships will be refuelable. Top ports are for in-flight refueling, and the side or under ports are for station or carrier refueling. Just as a point of clarity, as far as I'm aware, all ships are refuelable from the Starfarer in 3.17, but it will have to be, I'll have to test that, I suppose. There will be service beacons for refueling in the future, but not with 3.17's initial release. In the future, reserve fuel. So basically, if you get near a Starfarer and you want to dock with it and you're entirely out of fuel, you get a bit of reserve fuel to then move. But in the future, that's going to be replaced with tractor beams, ship-scale tractor beams. They want to be able to have some gameplay with the attached ship if they're moving. So if you're moving with the Starfarer while also being attached to them being refueled effectively, that, well, you can actually be broken off or forcefully sort of pulled off if you are going in opposite direction, or you get lots of jostling or whatever. They are planning to improve multi-crew mining in the future. They might have time-based mining where multiple zones on a rock or area need to be hit at the same time or detonated at the same time, that sort of jazz. There are various mining fixes in 3.17 for mining and scanning. They want to expand out what's valuable for mining and crafting. The dynamic universe is sort of going to mean that others become more valuable to mine in regards to sort of resources and rocks rather than just Quantanium. I think the idea is that there's a worry that Quantanium is the most valuable material and there's nothing really worth mining other than Quantanium for the most part. You will be able to tap veins on planets in the future as well, so sort of under the ground veins for various mineral wealth. That's going to tie into land claims, base building, as well as being exploitable by ships like the Prospector. Life support systems are receiving work. There's quite a lot going on with that. It needs UIs for various panels, and they want to hook up the rim system to it, which is constantly being upgraded. It is an essential gameplay component, especially for multi-crew, damage control, engineering, etc. The fire system that's in development interacts with life support and damage control too. Life support will process CO2, atmosphere, that sort of jazz into oxygen and breathable air, and a atmosphere that you want. And the rate it does that is based on the size of the ship and component and the rate you've set. You'll need to maintain these systems too, and change things like the CO2 scrubbers. Temperature and pressure both sound like they'd be dictated by that system as well, and then you can change the variables for them. Ships that are made to be open and closed quickly, sort of like landing craft that have doors that open that don't necessarily have air shields, that are then exposed to the vacuum of, well, not necessarily vacuum, but whatever atmosphere or whatever environment they're in, you're going to have to be careful with, because if you're opening your doors to areas that are non-hospitable and you don't have airlocks in between, well, it might be good to wear a helmet, otherwise risk your sort of crew aboard. The system allows for each room to have a different atmosphere on a ship. You can raise the temperature or set O2 rates. You can potentially turn off atmosphere or vent that atmosphere to get rid of a fire. It might give you advantages in combat against boarders or to save power. The Tier 0 first implementation won't have the ability to have composition of atmosphere changes. They are open to it in the future though. That's something they're going to be looking at. Engineering and life support UIs are currently being worked on. Fuel consumed, power and resource usage will all fully be in players' hands in the future. That's the idea of the resource system, sort of power and fuel being turned into power and then being piped to the different systems on your ship, and a circuit being essential for moving that sort of power and stuff around, or at least connections, and those connections can break and you'll need to repair them. So that's what sort of damage control gameplay there is going to be in the future. It will be quite granular with things like power to doors needing power, and you can manage that. Existing ships will need to be updated for these systems. There is a lot to do, but they are all connected and tied together so they can be released at the same time, and they're working on all of them now. Portable loot boxes are a thing, so you'll be able to move them around, store some stuff in them. They are sort of under review at the moment. They want to balance them, get the performance on them working well, make sure that they're a good idea for what they want them for, which is being able to do cargo gameplay and looting gameplay much more readily. They hope in the future that you can stack these on ships and put them in the cargo grid, and they'll be detected in the cargo grid. Cargo boxes and commodity cargo around derelicts and loot generation is being worked on at the moment by Turbulent for much more variety and interest and loot opportunities. You'll see these updates and improvements as they sort of go. Some gear will only be found in loot boxes and it will have different rarities. They are expanding out what is lootable and what we might find. Rarity will vary in different areas and star systems. Each individual location can have its own specific setup for loot defined, but there can be a more general loot table too. Rarity is not a standard of how good an item is stats-wise though. Literally it is just, this is how rare it is. It might not be great, it just might be rare or hard to find. They have been talking about decompressions on ships. It's something that they will look at after completing the life support systems. And the sneak peek this week was something alien. But exactly what, I don't actually know. What do you think? What do you think this is? Boom! That's it for this week's news this time. But what do you think? Are you keenly awaiting Alpha 3.17 going to wider PTU? Or are you looking forward to refueling and looting and expanded selling? Or whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
I am French and sophisticated. I am also French and also sophisticated. Let us go on a date. Neither of these people are French or sophisticated. It was me doing a funny voice, as well as showing the horrors of dating online and what happens if you accidentally catfish yourself with 2 of your own accounts. But French people don't talk like that even. No one does. NordVPN can make you appear to be in France, but it doesn't make you French, as I've now found out. It can be used to improve security or give you more accessibility to the internet. I can watch all my favourite shows. Get yourself NordVPN today in the links below and maybe be a better version of yourself. Now that's shilling for you. Every month we have a Star Citizen ship giveaway, and March is no different. We have a Crusader Industries Mercury Star Runner. This multi-crew, multi-role, cargo and data running ship is my favourite ship in the game. It has loads of little smuggling holes. It's got a good amount of armament. It can do a little bit of everything in the game at the moment. To be in for a chance of winning it, just comment on any of my videos made during March. More details in the description below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and potentially even clicking that join button under my videos to help further support the channel. Share the videos around with your friends and family. You'll occasionally get exclusive videos, posts, and polls that help influence the channel, along with emotes and badges to show your support. It really does help. There's also a Patreon and direct donations tool for those inclined. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you have a great March 2022.